Hi, it's Marco Cattaneo representing Charles Sturt University with yet another study aid for the subject ITI 597, the subject that covers IT service management. In today's topic we're going to take a look at some basic concepts for the process knowledge management. So some basic concepts for the process knowledge management. Well, if you actually read like the ITIL volume service transition, I mean like the knowledge management chapter, there isn't too much information like given in like the section basic concepts. They roughly talk about like two basic concepts, which will then be explained like in the next two videos, in the next two like topics. One concept is known as like the data to information to knowledge to wisdom structure and the DICW structure, and the other one is known as like the service knowledge management system, the SKMS. So the DICW structure and like the SKMS are like the two key basic concepts explained within the chapter knowledge management. Yeah, a bit of like an introduction to like the DICW model, or the DICW structure I should say, because it's also explained like in the next video. We're talking about like four layers. We're talking about like a data layer, and on the data layer it's really like you're dealing with raw facts. You're just like collecting like data, bits and pieces, like individual records, like what's the temperature right now, what's the temperature right now, what's the temperature right now. If I talk about information, actually I'm processing that data. So I'm adding labels like, okay, who, what, when, and where did all these events actually like occur. I mean these data events. One level higher, you move into like the knowledge level, and knowledge is all about like being able to make informed, using the information to make informed decisions. So knowledge is all about like answering the how. Okay, how are we going to fix this? How do we deal with for example, like an increased solution time for like the incidents or problems? How do we like deal with like, oh no, like more and more people like bypassing like the change management procedures? So it really allows us to actually answer like the how question. Then the highest level is like the wisdom level, and that's all about like learning from all this accumulated knowledge. Like, why are all these things happening? Like, why are people like bypassing the change management process? Why do we see like an increase like in the average time of like resolving incidents or problems? Why is all this stuff happening? Okay, so we're talking about like the data, information, knowledge, and wisdom structure, the DICW structure. Yeah, the Service Knowledge Management System, the SKMS, another model explained within the Service Transition volume as part of like the Knowledge Management chapter. The SKMS, it's all about like creating a number of repositories, like databases that like contain data, information, and knowledge. So here we talk about like the Configuration Management Databases, the CMDBs, and they typically contain information on configuration items, the CIs, and the important relationships between those CIs. On the next level, we actually find like the configuration management system, the CMS, and the CMS like contains like information on like incidents and problems and changes and your release records, and all these like entities will also be like linked back to your configuration items that are stored in the configuration management database. So you get this synergy happening, like all these records like now being linked to each other. So I can actually see like how many changes were made to this specific CI at what time, by whom, and for example, did it actually work? On the next level, we talk about like the service knowledge management system. So that's where you really like you bring the whole thing together. You may even add like knowledge and information that's coming like for example from the business. Like for example like how many business units do we have? How many like people actually working in all those business units? How are they performing? How are the various systems performing? You're storing your reports in there, you name it. So this service knowledge management system, it's almost like the nirvana. It's like where everything comes together. So you will be able to make like informed decisions. You will be able to make informed decisions, and that's of course like that's an attribute of like using like a total quality management system and like a TQM. It's all about like using facts to make proper informed decisions. That's what we're talking about here. The SKMS will help you, will allow you to move forward, will help you to allow you to make the right decisions. You, Muskie, practice what you preach. Yeah. Of course, it's about understanding these basic concepts for the knowledge management process, the KM process. Hey, how do the following help you to make decisions? What about a library? What about Google? What about like your mobile with your like built-in like GPS system? What about just like a recipe book? Your iPhone, the yellow pages. Like how do all these like objects, entities, like resources allow you to make like the right decisions? Okay, like hey, have fun with the exercise. Yeah, simple question. Which one of the following statements is most correct considering the knowledge management process? Answer A, it supports change management. Answer B, it supports change and configuration management. Answer C, it supports like all the service transition processes. And answer D, it supports all the IT service management processes. I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about the answer, and then as usual we move on. So what's the correct answer? Of course the correct answer is answer D. Really, knowledge management supports like everything. It's providing like data and information and knowledge like to like IT and also like even the business, I think. Okay, so knowledge management can be used like by absolutely like any ITIL, any IT service management process. In the next topic, we're actually going to look at like in more detail at like the DIGW structure, the data, information, knowledge and wisdom structure as part of service transition, as part of knowledge management. Hey, until then, live long and prosper, nano nano, and as always, I'll be back.